Last week we talked about what is a spirit? What is discernment? Two different types of discernment, right? We've got the rational, intellectual, moral-driven discernment, and then we have the supernaturally charged judgment, distinguishing between spirits, intuition gift, right? And this class is all about this one, the judging, intuitive, supernatural insight gifting. Yeah? To be able to tell when a spirit is operating, how it's operating, what it's doing, blah, blah, blah. And the goal of this class is to empower you to become aware of that world, hey Chris, and be able to navigate that intentionally, like from a place of power, a place of purpose and choice, as opposed to just being batted around by things you don't understand or whatever. So the first version of discernment, I forget what it's called, isthesis is what it's called, is rationally judging based on your own moral code, your ability to perceive the natural realm. So for example, if you're a parent and your kid may or may not have stolen cookies from the cookie jar, and you want to find out, and you have a chat, like, Jimmy, did you take a cookie from the cookie jar? And you know for a fact that the cookie's missing because there's one less than there was yesterday because you're an anal parent. And he's like, no. But the way Jimmy answers is different than how Jimmy normally acts, right? There's something off about this. The experience you're getting with him is delineating from how he normally conducts himself. That is isthesis, discernment. You can tell something's off based on how it's correlating to what you know about everything else, right? There's a logic, practicality to this. You ask Jimmy, hey Jimmy, how was school today? And he says, it was good. And you feel something's off when he said that. He's smiling. He said it was good. Everything about this looks fine, but your knower's going off. Something's wrong. When he said that, I felt terror. Why would I feel terror when he said that, right? What do you mean, fine? How was your day? What happened? He starts explaining whatever, and with that intuitive knowledge, you can actually intentionally ask specific questions to guide him into an encounter with the truth. He's your son. He's 8 years old. What happened? Oh, tell me more, blah, blah. As you keep exploring, pretty soon Jimmy's ability to rein his terror in runs out. And pretty soon he's bawling his eyes out in your lap in the living room. And you didn't know that was going to happen, right? You knew something was off. You weren't sure why. And you find out, oh, Jimmy's being bullied by 7 different kids. What, right? And so all of a sudden you get to go explore and whatever. But that supernatural insight, it wasn't based on how Jimmy was acting. It was based on something your spirit was picking up. Does that make sense? There's a difference. This class is focused on how to understand and operate within that one, the freaky, weird one that we don't really understand. Okay? And so something fascinating about this gift is it's judgment. It's supernatural judgment, which is tricky because we don't touch judgment. We can't judge people, right? Today's class is called Judgment. Isn't this awesome looking? Zach built this. It's beautiful. I love it. Judgment. So I'm going to need some help. Can I get some Bible readers, please? Anybody feeling generous? Kara, great. We're going to jump into the Bible real quick to look at what the Bible has to say about judgment. Okay, so you guys, disclaimer real quick before we get into this. The Bible has a lot to say about judgment. I wanted to do a little bit of an orderly study on this, but my goodness, it's kind of a large topic. We would not be able to cover it today, so we're just going to pick and choose the things that are relevant to the subject we're looking at. Okay, so this is not an overarching, all-encompassing class on this subject. We are simply going to address this in terms of discernment, okay? So, let's pull up some verses. Kara, can you read Revelation 12, verses 10 to 11? Can I get another person to help me out? Yes, right here. Can you do Romans 8, 1 through 4? Can I get another person to help me out? Yes, over here. I'm going to have you do Matthew 7, 1 through 5. Can I get another person to help me out? Yes, right here, Rhonda. Can you do Romans 14, 13? Can I get another person to help me out? Yes, on the end. I'm going to have you do 1 Corinthians 5, 12 to 13. Can I get another person to help me out? Yes, right here. Perfect. Can you do, is it Jerry Beth? Did I say it right? Okay. James 2, 12 to 13. And I need one more person to help me out. James 2, verses 12 to 13. Right here. I'll have you do James 4, 11 to 12. All right. Kara, you ready? Revelation 12, 10 to 11. Here we go.
And I heard a loud voice in heaven, saying, Now the salvation and power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Christ have come. For the accuser of our brothers and have thrown down, who accuses them day and night before our God. And they have conquered him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, for they love not their lives even unto death. Therefore rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. But woe to you, O earth and sea, for the devil has come down to you in great wrath.
We're good. We're getting scary. All right, Romans 8, 1 to 4, right here.
Okay. Therefore now, there is no condemnation for those in Christ Jesus. For the law of the Spirit of life, which is in Christ Jesus, the law of our new being, has freed me from the law of sin and death. For God has done what the law could not do, being weakened by the flesh. Sending his own Son in the guise of sinful flesh as an offering for sin, God conquered sin in the flesh. You went 4? Okay.
Yeah.
So that the righteous, I'm sorry, I'm
You're
in
good.
an amplified version,
Oh,
and
yeah,
so I'm
so you don't
having
know
to
where you
leave
are.
out.
Great.
Yeah. So that the righteous and just requirement of the law might be fully met in us who live and move not in the ways of flesh, but in the ways of the Spirit.
Perfect. That's perfect. Thank you. All right, Matthew 7, 1 to 5, right over here.
Do not judge others, and you will not be judged, for you will be treated as you treat others. The standard you use in judging is the standard by which you will be judged. And why worry about a speck in your friend's eye when you have a log in your own? How can you think of saying to your friend, "Let me help you get rid of that speck in your eye," when you can't see past the log in your own eye? Hypocrite, first get rid of the log in your own eye, then you will see well enough to deal with the speck in your friend's eye.
Perfect. Thank you. Next, Romans 14, 13. Rhonda, right back here. Zach, we're going to have to put your runners on next week.
Therefore, let us not pass judgment on one another any longer, but rather decide never to put a stumbling block or hindrance in the way of a brother.
Perfect. 1 Corinthians 5, 12 to 13, right over here. There we go. There we go.
For what I have to do with judging outsiders, it is not those inside the church whom you are to judge. Sorry, it's underlined, so I can't say everything. God judges those outside. Purge the evil person from among you.
All right. James 2, 12 to 13, right over here. Almost done, Zach.
So speak and so do as those who will be judged by the law of liberty. For judgment is without mercy to the one who has shown no mercy. Mercy triumphs over judgment.
Nice. And lastly, James 4, 11 and 12, right behind you, Zach.
Do not speak evil against each other, dear brothers and sisters. If you criticize and judge each other, then you are criticizing and judging God's law. But your job is to obey the law and not to judge whether it applies to you. God alone, who gave the law, is the judge. He alone has the power to save or to destroy. So what right do you have to judge your neighbor?
Okay. Anybody confused yet? Little turned around, little what the heck going on? Yeah. Yeah. So we've got some mixed messages in the New Testament on judgment in the church, outside the church. When do you do it? How do you do it? Who does it? To whom? How long? What does it look like? Let's talk about it. Judgment, I'm putting over here, okay? Judgment's over here. There's a difference between judgment and accusation, okay? There's a difference between judgment and condemnation. There's a difference between judgment and punishment. These are not the same words. These are different words. And I almost did a little bit of a word study, and then I was going to take the rest of our class time. So we're going to use English. Judgment is over here. Accusation, condemnation, punishment are over here. These are not the same thing. Okay? Judging is necessary, whether it's driving down the highway and discerning what the speed limit is, to judging if that fruit is going to be beneficial to my family or if it's going to kill my kids, right? You're judging that stuff. That's the same word, right? So judgment over here, it's not condemnation, accusation, punishment. It's discerning. It's figuring out, is this good? Is this bad? I just need to understand judgment, okay? So that word judgment, don't judge me. Who do you think you are? You can't judge me, blah, blah, blah. That whole thing, we're talking about condemnation. Don't condemn me. Who do you think you are, right? We use the word judge synonymously in our language. It's inaccurate. It's not what we're talking about, okay? We all judge all the time. We need to. We wouldn't be here if we didn't judge. If you didn't understand gravity, if you didn't know that sitting in the sun in Redding, California in July for 5 hours would kill you probably, if you didn't know that eating certain mushrooms in the forests that are poisonous would kill you, like you die, right? You need to understand how to judge the world you live in. Judgment is not bad. Now let's apply that to human beings. Uh-oh. Now we're getting a little tricky. We're getting into some weird, kind of gray areas, right? How do you judge people? Especially when Jesus is like, don't judge people. Don't judge people. By the way, don't judge people. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. Oh, there is a difference between a person and their spiritual agreements. There is a difference. What I just said to you is a game changer if you understand it. There are people in this world who can't judge, they can't discern because they don't know how to separate those things. And so bad things happen and they can't do anything about it because they're not allowed to judge. They're powerless. They're trapped. They can't actually say something. They can't confront it because there's a person attached to the problem, right? I'm here to make a separation for you, a distinction, a discernment for you. People and their spiritual agreements are not the same thing. So if someone is making a choice for their life that is sabotaging their ability to participate healthily in community, are we judging the person? No. I mean, people do that, but that's not our job. That's not our role. We don't have grace for that. But we are judging the intent. Something is wrong. Something is off. You won't come out of your room. You're just playing Call of Duty all the time. I think something might be off. I'm not using my deep knower. I'm observing based on my moral code and my intellect and my rationale that something's off, right? We're judging that situation. This is not good. I need to intervene. I'm going to have a conversation. Hey, perhaps there's something else you could be doing with your time. Perhaps there's a better way for you to engage the world that you live in. Perhaps a better way for you to exercise your freedom, right? We're not going to tell them what to do, but we are going to address it because we care about this person, because we've judged something and that it's off, yeah? So we're not condemning that person. We're not accusing them. We're not punishing them. We are judging their agreement. I'm partnering with isolation, and you want to come take that from me, right? If we can separate that, these conversations can be different. The results can be different if you can tell the difference, okay? So this whole discernment thing is a game changer if you're able to navigate the separation between the person and the spirit they're operating with. Good or bad. So it could be the Lord, it could be Satan. It doesn't matter. If you can tell the difference, you know how to respond. You know what your responsibility is. You know where your boundaries lie. You know how you want to conduct yourself, right? You guys, we're going to build and build and build. We're going to go on a journey together. We're on class 2. As this builds, it's going to get layered. It's going to get involved. I'm building some layers here so that by the time we get to the end of our journey, you're a little freaked out and you feel ready to take on the world, okay? And then we're going to have some practices throughout this class of things you guys can implement in your day-to-day life. Because if this thing isn't practical, I don't want to teach it. If it doesn't affect you on a daily basis, it's not relevant to me. That's my opinion. So I want this to be something you can use every day. And I promise you it is once you know how. So I don't want to release you and go make a mess and, oh, I did this thing that you said and now everyone hates me in my life. Like, It's not what I'm going after. I want us to be able to separate people from their spiritual agreements. Okay? How we express ourselves, that's up to us. We're not judging people based on the expression. The judgment is coming in, if that discernment thing's kicking in, based on what we're picking up. Okay, so you feelers out there, if you can actually fine-tune that thing and you become aware of the moment something happened in the room that should not have and it's violating you, you know how to respond because you know where you can pinpoint it, right? If you're so lost in your own stuff, you can't even tell that stuff. You have no idea something went wrong because everything's wrong all the time. Your ability to discern is next to nothing. You can't, right? And so we get to go on our own journey, and that's a later class. We're going to go on a journey of discovering for ourselves, what am I? What do I feel like? How do I connect with the Lord? What does that feel like to me, right? But when it comes to judgment, we are making a separation, a distinction here, okay? And so Jesus said some very ballsy statements when he walked around, right? He was kind of rude at times, really intense, really confronting, really public even about that. And you're like, oh my God, this is God. And I'm not even allowed to do that. And we have this funny separation between us and Jesus, and we put him in this funny pedestal or whatever, separating ourselves from his experience, right? Because we're not allowed to judge people. Because we're not allowed to be mean. We're not allowed to say things that people don't like, that make them feel bad or self-conscious or whatever. And Jesus didn't seem to give a crap about that. He did not care. Why? Because he doesn't love people? Obviously, that can't be the answer. Because he's totally unaware, just socially awkward? No, like he was actually one of the most popular guys in his time. People loved him. They got along with him really well. They felt really connected and understood by him, right? Why would he say things that were so offensive? I'd like to propose to you, it's because he knew how to separate the person from their spiritual agreements. And things he's confronting, things he's addressing, things he's opposing very vehemently and publicly are those agreements. He loved those Pharisees. He loved them. He died for them. He was never interested in punishing those people, accusing them, condemning them. He wanted to help liberate them from those agreements that were destroying their lives. Right? So even now, as some enemies are coming to your mind of people that you don't judge, whom you don't hate, you just don't talk to them anymore. You guys just don't have anything in common anymore. You don't go around those people anymore. Right? What if you could separate the person from their junk? I'm not saying love them in spite of the crazy. I'm saying look at the crazy and understand it, and then confront it. Expect something better from them, because they're capable of it. That's what Jesus did all the time. Nicodemus, why are you coming to me and asking me about this stuff? Aren't you a leader in the spiritual community? Like, you don't even get these like silly examples? How are you going to understand spiritual things that have no natural correlation? He's not trying to punish Nicodemus. He's not trying to embarrass him or humiliate him. He expects better because he loves Nicodemus, because he believes in Nicodemus, right? Bro, you're a leader. You're a father. You need to know this. You totally can. Where are you? Come on. Let's go. Right? I mean, that's happening all the time. You guys, I'm not interested in superimposing my opinion on Jesus, but I can't not see this when he's interacting with people because the spiritual world, though it's not explained, is operating all around him, and he's responding. And there are times where you watch him say and do things, and you're like, what the? I mean, growing up, when I would read the Bible all the time, I'm like, what is he doing? This guy's crazy. And I go to Sunday school, and I get that, Jesus is nice and clouds and harps, but Jesus is crazy. This guy's wild. I kind of like it. I kind of liked it. I like it a lot, actually. Not because I want to be rebellious. I don't want to be rude or, obnoxious. I want the real thing. I want for what I do and what I'm a part of and what I give away to be authentic, to be real. And I want the people that I connect with and things that we're exchanging, I want those things to be real too. I want them to matter. I don't want to waste my time. Not because I'm so busy and have to get some results, because I have a lot of value for what I have to bring to the world. I have a lot of value for what I take in. And what I give and what I receive, I want that stuff to be real. Sand, The Rock. Oceanside, Dwayne Johnson. Just kidding. Thanks for getting that, some of you guys. A foolish man built his house on the sand. A wise man built his house on the rock, right? And the floods came, and the rain fell, and the winds blew, and the destruction over here was great. The house over here stood firm, right? There's a distinction here. We are making a separation. The sand over here, this is stuff that isn't real. This is deception over here. It feels good over here. It tastes good. It looks good. It just isn't. Over here, this stuff is real. This is reality. When you're trading in reality, what you do, what you say, what you contribute lasts. It sticks around. It has merit. It has weight. It produces. There's a distinction, okay? The fake over here goes away. It might be flashy. They might Instagram it. You might get followers because of this. It just won't be around a little bit from now. People might not give a crap about what you're doing over here. They might not know you're doing it. They might not even care. They might not think it's worth paying attention to. But if it's real, it'll still be here. It will outlast their likes and their followers. And it will produce for you. And then over time, this thing is not even around anymore. And this thing is paying your rent. Or this thing is ensuring that your family is healthy. Or this thing is opening doors of opportunity and favor for you. Or whatever. This thing produces, this thing goes away, right? So from that place of value, when I'm exchanging with people, I want it to be real. Why? Because I want it to last. I want it to be worth it. I'm an investor. When I put stuff in something, I want it to return to me more than what I put there, right? I'm like God in that way. God's like that. When he gives you something, he wants more than he gave you back. God's like that, guys. So we've got 3 dudes. To this guy, I'm going to give him 5 talents. Actually, let's put this guy over here. 5 talents. To this guy, I'll give him 2 talents. And this guy's going to get 1 talent. Now I'm going to leave them. I come back. Hey, remember that stuff I gave you? What do you got? This guy gave me 10 talents back. Whoa. Awesome. We got a rock star over here. Give him cities and more cities. Why, I don't know, but give him cities. This guy, 4 talents. Whoa. We've got a rock star. Give him some cities. This guy, what the heck? You're giving me what I gave you? I don't get it. What's your problem? What's the matter with you? Wait, you knew that I'm expecting something from this and you didn't even put this in a bank to at least earn a little interest on it? You buried what I gave you, knowing who I am, knowing what I'm like. I don't understand this. Throw him in hell. Or outer darkness, or weeping and gnashing of teeth, or something. Give him something horrible. Put him there. And take what he has, give it to the guy with the 10. Obviously, that guy's going to produce. This is not a heartless taskmaster just trying to get the most out of the most bang for his buck. This man loves these people. He's looking for faithfulness here, right? If we deal over here in Sandland, it feels good. It looks good. There's a lot of hype over here. And then we choose to live here. We choose to trade over here. We're not going to have anything to give back. But Kayla, I didn't even see you. If we deal and trade over here, we put things in here, we expend, we use, we engage, we're going to get way back. We're going to get way more back than what we put into it. It's just the nature of the kingdom. It's the nature of what God gives you. Let's make this a little more intense. Let's say we're not talking about money or fame or influence or resources or whatever. Let's get a little closer to home. Let's say we're talking about your identity. Let's say we're talking about who you are. And let's plug that into this equation. I gave you Johnny, and you gave me back Johnny plus whatever. Johnny who grew. Johnny who changed. Johnny who transformed and actually gave to the world he lived in. Why? Because he became more. That's what God is looking for. I gave you Susan. These are boring names. Why? I gave you Susan. I'm sorry, if you're a Susan here, that's terrible. Oh, no. Johnny and Susan are great names. Susan. I meant like I wanted Victor and Bonquisha or something, you know? Susan. You're barely Susan? Like that's how you're coming back to me? You've been on the earth for like 45 years. How are you still so small? I gave you everything you needed to grow. I gave you room. I gave you space. I gave you care and provision, and you're still just Susan? I don't understand. You guys, this is the thing. Many will come to me and say on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and cast out demons, and perform many miracles? And I will say to them, depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. I never knew you. Ugh. We're talking about intimacy here. We're talking about relationship. He's after the real deal. You guys can't fake that. I mean, none of us can. Either it's on the sand or it's on the rock. The rock is Jesus, by the way. Jesus is the truth. We're going to learn how to connect with the truth in this class. We're going to learn how to get the best return for our investment, for his investment. Okay? So, accusation. Accusation is scavenging and scrounging up, is that a word? Scrounging up proof that my target or my subject or victim or whatever is guilty. Accusation is gathering proof that they're guilty. Evidence, reasons. I'm in a court case and I am after this person, right? That is accusation, okay? Condemnation. Condemnation is what happens after judgment. It's the sentence being passed. And the sentence is, guilty. You're guilty. You deserve punishment. You deserve to be damned. You deserve hell. That's condemnation, okay? And then punishment is that judgment, that condemnation, the sentence being carried out on the guilty, right? Fire and brimstone or isolation or darkness or whatever the punishment is, that's when it's come to term. Okay, it's carried out. That's all over here. That realm belongs to the enemy. It's for him and it's how he operates. It's within his kingdom that those things are at play. Okay? Over here, we have judgment. Judgment is over here. Accusation, condemnation, and punishment are over here. Judgment is over here. You are no longer under the law, but under grace. Right? So, when you find yourself coming up with reasons why somebody deserves to be punished, why someone deserves to not be trusted, why someone deserves not to experience favor or mercy or grace or promotion or whatever, and you're finding evidence for why they don't deserve that, what is that? Accusation. Thank you. Yes. That's accusation. That's what that is. Has anyone in this room not done that before? You don't know what I'm talking about. Interesting. That's accusation. That is the enemy's job. That's Satan's job. He's literally called the accuser of the brethren. Was that you, Kara, that read that? Accuser of the brethren, who accuses us night and day. That's his job. When you find yourself doing that, scrounging up reasons why your brother deserves to be punished or deserves to be withheld from something or whatever, guess whose camp you're part of? Guess whose job you're fulfilling? Guess whose nature you are participating in? Satan. Okay? Condemnation. Let's move on. Let's move on from that weird slithery tongue thing. Condemnation. This is, you're guilty. You deserve to be punished. The sentence has been passed and you fail. Right? That belongs to the enemy. If you find yourself coming to the place in your heart, in your rationale, in your reasoning, in your self-talk of whatever, usually this happens after an altercation or something uncomfortable or a conflict or whatever, right? we go into this funny place where we start talking to ourselves. We start rationalizing, even maybe out loud. Yeah, but when she said this, and when she said this, like, this is what she meant, blah, 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 right? You're by yourself in your car, in your room, going nuts. Scrounging up evidence, accusing them because then, oh, you're less guilty. I'm going to destroy this person so that I don't have to be condemned, so I don't need to be punished. You guys, that's selfish. The very agenda is the opposite of love. Love always protects, right? Love always trusts. Love always hopes and perseveres. Love doesn't quit. Love doesn't separate. Love doesn't accuse. Love doesn't throw their neighbor under the bus so that he doesn't have to be punished. That's not love. Love would dive under the bus so that he wouldn't have to. We'll get to that later. All right, so condemnation. Accusation, evidence, right? Judgment, I'm going to decide, is this true? Condemnation is the sentence has been passed, you're guilty. Punishment is, let's carry out that sentence. Bad stuff, pain, right? Accusation, condemnation, and punishment are for Satan and his angels, the demons, the evil spirits. Which, by the way, there's a difference between evil spirit and demon, for the record, but that's also for later. Oh, God. All that ugly stuff, all that court case negativity is for the bad guys. You are not the bad guy. That goes a little further. Your brother, your sister are not the bad guy. Brother and sisters' agreements with the spiritual realm. Not the same. They're separate. Okay? So, when we are judging, when we are discerning, we are separating. This is who this person is. This is what they're bringing. This is what they're choosing. This is what they're releasing or parting with or whatever. I'm not okay with that. I love this person. That's not okay. If I actually love this person, this thing is definitely not okay. And if you turn a blind eye to this thing, you don't love this person. Oh. You guys, I'm going to ruin your life. Buckle up. If you actually care about this person and you are aware of this thing destroying their life and you do nothing, you guys, that's sin. Failing to do the good you know that you could do, that you have the power to give. It's sin. Oh. Okay? So, the law that we are judging with is love. That is what we're under, it's where we come from, it's where we're going, and it's how we do it. Love. We're under love, we come from love, we're going toward love, and we're operating within love. Because of love, for love. We're obsessed. There is no other option. And if you think there is, you're over. Uh-oh. This is the rock, but this is where judgment or accusation, uh-oh. Okay, if you think there's another option for you being a child of God other than love, enjoy the beach. Build your castle, that's fine. We'll be over here. Cool castle, bro. Take a selfie. It's great. Oh, I don't care. I don't not care because I don't care about you. I don't care because that thing isn't real. If you think there's another option other than love for you, enjoy the beach. I'm talking about the sand. Building your house on the sand, the place where everything falls and breaks and dies. Okay. You guys are bound by love. The only thing you're indebted to anyone on this planet for is love. At least that's all you should owe them. Okay? That is the law. So, if discernment is supernatural judgment, it's this intuitive, insightful, revelatory gifting that allows you to make a distinction. The way we use that gift is love. Discernment is never to expose somebody, to accuse somebody, to justify suspicion, to humiliate them, to punish them, to separate or reject them. Discernment is not used for those things because those things belong to the enemy. Discernment is a gift of the Holy Spirit. It's God expressing himself through us. It cannot lead to those conclusions. He's not like that, okay? So if the gift of discernment in your life is operating, and it's beautiful, and it's working, and you love it because it's giving you all this advantage or whatever, and it leads you to accusing someone or punishing them or distancing yourself or throwing them under the bus or whatever, you missed the gift. It's perverted in your hands. It's tainted. Ugh. Okay? The gift operates with love. So our judgment, which is judgment, is in love. What does this person need? What is missing? What has gone wrong? What has come in that is doing the nasty that needs to be addressed for this to change? Right? We love this person. We will give to them. We will cover them. Whatever. Discernment comes in and says, what's happening? Why is there a breakdown? Where is it coming from? How do we stop it? Right? Discernment has those answers. So, we talked about this a little bit last week. The people that are operating in that gifting on some significant level tend to be the people that no one wants to be around because they're so intense, because they're so aggressive, because they don't play well with others or whatever, because they've spent their whole life having to figure out how to manage the injustice of nobody doing anything about the violation they see all the time, experience all the time, whatever, right? But maturity in that gifting looks like you becoming skilled, deft in understanding this judgment that you're carrying that is powerful. It's dangerous if you use it wrong, right? It's powerful. When you grow in how to use this thing, you can cut between thoughts and intentions. You guys can cut between thought and intention. The motive of the heart manifests in the form of a thought, strategy, devices, whatever, and then they carry it out. There's a separation there. And discernment would allow you to see the difference. It's crazy. This thing is powerful if you understand it. If you understand how this thing is affecting you and what is available in it, how you can influence these people, it would change your life. And then it would change theirs. I don't remember who I was talking to, which is really sad because this is like an example I use every once in a while. I was talking to this person that I had just met a couple of times, and we're sitting down, and they're processing something with me. I don't know why this is happening, but it was. We're talking. And at some point, they say, well, I'm a shy person, and blah, blah, blah. And as soon as they said that, I didn't hear anything else. I was like, what? Because when they said it, I felt nothing on it. That's not true. And so I said to them, hang on. You think you're shy? Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And they give me some more reasons why they're shy. I'm like, yeah, I don't agree with that at all. And they're like, what? Like, you're not shy. Yes, I am. And now we're arguing over what they are, what they're like. And I don't know this person. We've met twice, maybe 3 times. You're not shy. Oh, yes, I am. And then they go off about their history and their childhood and their siblings and their parents and whatever. And they have all this proof. They're shy. I just can't agree. I just don't buy that. I don't believe it. Why? Because no one's shy? Not necessarily. Although I kind of believe that, honestly. That wasn't the thing here, though. When they said I'm shy, it was a lie. I could feel it. When it hit my body, I'm like, ooh, that's a lie. I'm going to bite. Not true. Okay? We chatted for like literally 2 to 3 minutes. I'm not exaggerating. And then verbatim, out of their mouth, oh my God, I'm not shy. Oh my God, no, you're right. I mean, I thought this my whole life, but no, I'm this way. And they start giving me reason after reason and proof after proof, every bit of evidence as to how they're actually not shy and how this is how they conduct themselves. And it's pretty expressive. It's pretty invitational. It's pretty engaging. And I checked out for a moment and I was like, you have got to be kidding me. This is ridiculous. People run around running their mouths about themselves all the time and they're lying and they believe what they're saying. This is crazy. God, what are we supposed to do with this? Like, years ago, I would never have been able to tell the difference. I wouldn't have believed them. I just wouldn't have known why, and then I would have felt guilty for it. This gift was ruining my life. And how many other people on the planet operating in this gifting are dealing with the same thing because they don't understand? you're lying to me. And you're a great person, and you're not trying to lead me astray. You just don't know any better. And I can feel the emptiness in your words. I can feel the pain in your voice when it hits the air. Whatever, right? There's a separation. That person was convinced they were shy, but their spirit, what I knew was true about them from discernment, was the opposite of that. So I, through my experience and maturity or whatever, had the guts to say, I don't agree. Here's what I see about you, and I didn't have proof from my experience with them. I only had what I felt about who they were. It was sheer intuition or whatever. I didn't have evidence in mutual experience, so I just spelled it out. To me, you're this. Blah, blah. And I wasn't prophesying. I was discerning. You guys, there's a difference. And some of you are discerning, and you think you're prophesying over people. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's just not the same thing. Okay? So when you're telling somebody about them and what they're like and whatever, you're discerning their spirit. And you can affirm that, and it's encouraging. It's just not prophecy. And some of you are like, oh, crap, have I ever prophesied in my life? You're fine. I mean, I'm not worried about it. There is a difference, okay? Prophecy is inspired speech, typically having to do with the future. It's affirming, it's encouraging, it's speaking to their identity, but we've shoved discernment into the category of prophecy and called it the same thing. I love that we are free to go after it and that we actually have taken the lid off of that and people will explore, so I'm not trying to knock that, but as we're getting further down this road as a community and understanding what we're doing and operating and all this stuff, there's a difference. Discernment is understanding, judging, separating who this person is from everything else. You're this. You're this, blah, blah. And then you can actually tap into a spirit of prophecy from that place of knowledge and go into the future with the Lord. That totally happens. Sometimes if I'm not getting a prophetic word, I will just discern. And then prophetic words will flow. It's weird. I feel a little illegal for doing that, but I do that all the time. My friend Lindsay, we did it all the time. And no one else knew. And we knew, and we were like, yeah, we know we're doing this. It's okay. Blah, 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 right? But we would nail it. And people were like, oh. We went to a friend's party one time because she had people visiting. We were in first year, and she's like, okay, this is Mike and Lindsay. They're prophets. Please just sit down and listen to what they have to say. And we looked at each other like, oh, that's awkward because that's not what we're doing. I mean, we were in first year. We weren't, whatever. So my point is, we had this reputation of being, gifted or accurate or whatever, but it wasn't prophecy most of the time. We were discerning their spirits, okay? That one's for free. That wasn't in my notes, but that's a thing, okay? So the reason I think it'd be helpful to understand the difference is when you understand you're discerning their spirit, you can bless and affirm that because it's from the Lord, and then understand that the Lord will take you into something deeper, higher, bigger, further, whatever, and then you can engage prophecy. It's not the end of the world if you don't get the difference. You don't need to worry about that. Please don't be self-conscious on that. But the gift of the Spirit is operating in different expressions, okay? Discernment is, who are they? So when this person's telling me they're shy, I can disagree because I know who they are. From intimacy, relationship, trust, no. Discernment. So growing up, I had a lot of people whom I was their best friend. This was really confusing for me because not all of them were mine. And we had to inevitably have that conversation. Oh, crap, I'm their best friend again. Oops, I did it again. I played with... Just kidding. Whoa. We're not singing Britney Spears right now, guys. Actually, we probably should have gone with it. That would have been fun. Lots and lots of people whom I was their best friend. Why? Because I related to them at a depth, at a level, at a regard that nobody else in their life did. I knew them better than anyone else. When they spoke with me, they felt so connected. They felt so known, so seen and valued. And I was specific about what I appreciated about them, and they could feel that. They were so alive, so naturally. I'm their best friend. That was really confusing for me because I was young, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know. Oh, God. So going through first year, I got to patch some of these holes up. Okay, what's going on? This is kind of crazy, right? But there's a difference between intimacy and knowledge, okay? There is a difference. God knows everything. And this person who knows everything says, depart from me, I never Knew you. There's a difference between intimacy and knowledge. A lot of those people were not my best friend. And I knew that. I had this self-awareness or whatever to understand that this is not mutual. This is not what's going on. I love the attention. I love the value, significance. It's great. It's just not the same. Ugh. And so now I'm lying to them. Or I could tell them, I love you too. You're not my best friend. Or whatever. You know, that's awkward. You shouldn't have to say that to people, but I had to a few times. And other times I just avoided it and like ignored it, and then it came up later and I got to actually tell them. Yeah. Awful. Why am I telling you that? There's a difference between intimacy and knowledge. And when you understand what you're working with and how it's influencing the world and what you have available to you and how you can actually engage that stuff, you have power. You guys, you have influence. It might not be like, massive and spotlighty, but to this person in front of you, you could change their life. Good or bad, you can. You misuse that thing, you can manipulate the crap out of them and they are your slave. You could if you wanted. I'm not joking on that. You could. This supernatural judgment that gives you a higher perspective and understanding and keener sense of what's really happening will set you apart. And it'll bring favor if you handle it well. And you can manipulate people if you want. I know because I did it for a long time. But nice. Condemnation. Just kidding. You guys, you grow in this thing. You learn what it's for. You get tried and tested and you die a little on the altar of truth. You let the truth kill you. And then you come alive because of that. And you pick this discernment thing up. You can change their life in a moment. You can tell them one sentence that they've spent 8 years of counseling trying to get. For real. I've seen it. That's happened. They're talking. One sentence, tears, right there. And I could take that personally, oh, I'm so amazing. Sometimes it's like, seriously? Not lack of compassion, it's just it's hilarious how separate from this I am. This has nothing to do with me. You know what I mean? Because if you don't understand the power that you're walking in and you misinterpret that as intimacy, as relationship, when actually it's your gifting at work, you're going to be in some weird water later on down the road. That person's not going to show up the way you thought they were going to, the way you want them to. They can't. It's different, okay? Oh man, this is so important. I did not mean to talk about this at all today, but this is important. Your gift is not who you are. I want to put a little addendum on there. It is part of who you are. I'll never be separate from discernment all my life. That is always going to be part of who I am. It's part of me, okay? It's not me. So people value my gift. They value my insight or whatever. That's great. That's not intimacy in my life. Those aren't my friends. They could be my friend. My friends can value that too. That doesn't, it's not mutually exclusive. But if I don't recognize the difference, I can be really confused at the people I've got around me who I've helped and have been so influential and have contributed toward their transformation, and yet, I'm missing something. And yet I still want something more. What's the problem? There's a difference. You're not your gift. Is there anybody in the room, real quick, I just want to get a little pulse. Anybody in the room that is having trouble tracking with me? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by some of this. No one? Kind of? What? We'll do questions and answers afterward. I just want to see if you guys are tracking with me or if I'm just talking to people that are okay. So this judgment thing, this weird, I don't know how to be this in my community because not everyone else is called to the same thing. It's confusing. We don't have a lot of examples today. We don't have a lot of demonstrations of what this is supposed to look like right now. We have prophets, we have apostles, we've got evangelists and pastors and teachers, we've got prophecy, we've got healing. Judging people? help, I've got the judging one. What do I do? How do I use it? How do I use it? Oh, God. He's bleeding. Help, right? We don't have it right now. We're working on that. It's not in place at the moment. It's kind of awkward. It's still happening, though. Discernment is still alive and well in the church, in the world. It's in people. It's ruining their lives and ruining the lives of countless others. And I'd like to do something about that. That's why we're here today. That's why this class exists. We have to understand this thing. This thing has to become normal, especially for those of you that know what I'm talking about. That thing on your life, that the way I've described this stuff, you're like, oh, crap, I've never heard that before, but that's exactly my childhood, or whatever, right? You're welcome. This has to be understood. We have to get this. Not just from a conceptual understanding, but from maturity. We have to learn how to walk this out, or we will continue to lob legs and heads off. And discernment will be that scary thing, that weird thing, that whatever, you know? It's sad. That stigma on discernment is not necessary. It's from lack of leading, lack of understanding. For lack of understanding, my people perish. Straight up discernment. That's us right now. But we're working on it. Really exciting. You guys, it's judgment. That's the deal. The popular opinion, the thing that pop culture would tell you in the church, is you don't judge people. That's the solution. Just don't do it. And I'm here to tell you that is not the solution. It's not going to fix anything, especially the people that are afflicted with the gift of discernment. It's not going to help them. It won't help you. And then it also won't help the people that are supposed to be benefiting from the fact that you have that gift. You're supposed to bring that into a place of service, right? It's the work that you're bringing to the body to equip and empower them to do the work of ministry. Like, you're bringing that. You're supposed to help them separate that stuff. Hey, that's not you. Hey, that doesn't belong in your life. Hey, that shouldn't be there. I was talking to this other person one time, mentoring him. We know each other somewhat, not super well, but we do know each other well. We know each other. And he's having trouble in his life, going through whatever. He's in second year at the time, and he's like having issues with all these different relationships and these scenarios, whatever. And at one point, I say to him, and this is just coming from, I'm responding to what's in his spirit, not what he's saying in English. I said, bro, insert his name. Your problem is everyone around you thinks you're a nice guy, and you and I both know that's not true. And I wasn't trying to be offensive. I was trying to help him out. And he looked at me like, what the? And then he started laughing. And I was like, what the? He like, turned it on me, and he's like laughing. I was like, what? What's funny? He's like, that's so rude. And like, I would never say it to anyone. And it's funny because I feel hope for the first time in a really long time. And I was like, that's awesome. He's like, yeah. Like, I feel like you know me more than anyone in my life right now. And I don't. I don't know him more than anyone else in his life right now. But he feels that way. Because I see who he is. I'm relating to his spirit, as opposed to all of the, I'm in BSSM, I'm amazing. Everything's great. That wasn't real, right? And I'm like, everyone thinks you're a nice guy, and you and I both know that's not true. What I said to him was true. And now he got to deal with it. And he had ears to hear, so he was grateful for that cut. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, right? That verse is confusing. Because I've been faithful to people and have wounded them, and I suppose that makes me their friend, but we're not super close. But my God, I was like the best friend they'd ever had, honestly, right? I actually loved them because I saw who they were, and I said yes to that, and I separated that from all the crazy and all the dysfunction and all the levels of life they had degraded to that everyone else accepted. God was okay with. You guys, love would demand a higher standard. Not out of obligation, not out of requirement, out of passion. Love is not passive. Love is on fire. Love is voracious. Love is hungry for connection. Not out of desperation, out of passion. zeal, enthusiasm. I'm consumed with this union we get to enjoy together. And that thing is stealing from what we could have. No. You guys, there are people in your life, especially those of you operating in this discernment thing, there are people in your life that need you to tell them what's up. They need to hear that from you. And I know you're scared. I know they're going to cut your head off. Love would let them cut your head off. Oh. He would. Love would let them hang him on a tree. He said, no, I will not let sin take you. That's not okay. And we killed him, and he let us. That's your deal. Yay. This is so exciting. Okay, let's get real for a second. Anybody in the room felt conviction when I told you need to tell that person that thing? Let me see your hand. Nice and high. Commit. Okay. Homework time. Do it this week before next Monday when we come to class together. Coffee date, go on a walk, surprise them in a dark alley somewhere. I don't care. It's time for you to have that conversation. Why? So you can grow? Absolutely, but more so they can grow. You have something they need, and they won't get it anywhere else. Is that a question? After. Call them up. It's 2016, sweetheart. Skype, Facebook, I don't care, whatever. Have that chat. Get it done. Yeah. What if you don't know what's wrong with them? Jerry Beth, have you been listening to me at all? Just kidding. Is it a he or she? She's here. I'm going to call her Jerry Beth 2. Jerry Beth 2 is here. What's wrong with her is over here. What's wrong with her doesn't matter, okay, necessarily. You'll get there. So I'm not worried about that right now. If there's a problem, she needs to know that you think that. If there's something affecting your ability to connect with her, she needs to know that. You don't need to know what it is. It's helpful if you do. Believe you me, it is helpful if you know what it is. Because they typically do not. But if you don't know, it doesn't mean you shouldn't say something. It's not your job to manage her. It's not your responsibility to make sure she lives her life the way she's supposed to. It is your job to protect connection, because love always protects. So, Jerry Beth 2, you're leaving me. I don't want you to. Why are you doing that? And you can ask her some questions, and you can put the impetus on her. What do you got? Why are you doing this? Because it sucks. Right? Okay, why am I asking you guys to do that? Why does that matter? Because there are two kingdoms in this world. There's one of darkness. It's not the absence of light, it is the presence of evil. It is moving, it is alive, and it wants you dead. Okay? It's one kingdom. And the other kingdom is the kingdom of light. Let's put darkness over here. We're changing it up again. And the kingdom of light is over here. Being a child of God, the guy who's king of this place, you're over here. This kingdom is comprised of vulnerability. Over here, the citizens make their way by being honest. It takes courage to live over here. You can't passively just reside. You have to choose. It's not hard. It's not laborious. It's not toiling. It's a solid yes. To live over here, when you know there's a disconnection, you must say something. You must bring it into the light. Okay? So I'm asking you guys to do that so we can clear out the atmosphere over your life. Your gifting, making you aware of something, and then you not stewarding that well will sabotage your ability to understand the world you live in. It sucks. I'm sorry. Feels like it costs more than other giftings. I don't know if that's true, but sometimes it feels that way. I was talking, do you guys know who Deborah Coombs is? The wild woman with the lion hair and the crazy eyes? Love Deborah. She's a mentor in my life. We were talking a few months ago. And I was just really intrigued by this dynamic that came out of our conversation. We sometimes compare notes on stuff we're experiencing in the Bethel staff community and things that we're aware of in people's lives. Not things we're looking for. Trust me, we are not looking for this stuff. It slams against our faces all the time. I'm cheating on my husband. Oh my God. Oh my God. I wish I didn't know that. I don't want to know that. I don't want to know that, right? So, you're aware of this weird stuff. Good and bad, it's happening all the time, constantly. So sometimes we compare notes just to like get some grip on, oh my, what's happening, right? Whatever. So one time we were chatting, and we both were aware of this thing happening with this certain situation and these certain people or whatever. We were just processing through it. Not gossip, not slander. That's not anywhere in our heart. That's not what we were doing. We were comparing notes because of this gifting on our life and how we're meant to carry it out in our environment. We wanted to understand and do it well, right? So we're processing in the cover of relationship. Blah, blah, blah. In that, I forget exactly what she said, but she was like, oh yeah, you need to say something. Or she's like, I need to say something or something. You need to say something because, she was talking to me. You need to say something because if the Lord revealed that to you in your gifting, which by the way, the gifting is not just to operate by itself, that gifting trains you your whole life. That gifting tempers you to learn how to manage the information and insight and power you're going to touch. It takes maturity to actually handle that nuclear activity stuff. You need to learn how. You need to learn why. You need to learn how this stuff works and how it affects things and in what ways you're able to move it, right? You need to learn all that stuff, and it takes time. It takes commitment. It takes sacrifice. It does. It takes all that stuff. But as you learn and grow because of that constant gifting causing you to have to deal with it, you get to a place, hopefully, if you're following the Lord, if you take a Discerning Spirits class, where you can actually handle it well. You can carry this thing full term. You can get it to a place where it produces life, where it brings healing, leads to wholeness, right? So she's like, you need to say something. When you're aware of that stuff, your gifting makes you aware of something and you do nothing about it. You become aware that the enemy is devouring someone's life and you don't do anything about it. You don't even let them know. Hey, there's a demon gnawing on your neck right now. I don't know if you care. Anyway, right, like whatever. When you become aware of that stuff, does that mean you go tell everyone everything? No. What I'm aware of and what I'm responsible for are not the same thing. It's true. What I'm aware of in my discernment and what I'm responsible for in my discernment are not the same thing. You're not a slave to your gift. You don't have to do everything that you're aware of or address everything or whatever. But the Holy Spirit does speak to you in that place. And there are times where I become aware of something I don't want to know, and I can feel, oh crap, I have to say something. And then I have a choice. I can say something or I can not. And I promise, most of the time, not saying something is so much easier. I have peace in that route. I feel peace to not say something. The problem is I can discern spirits and I know that's not actually peace, right? So when the Lord reveals something to you because of your gifting and he has something he's doing and you don't participate, his kid suffers and he's left having to watch because he chose you. This is not condemnation. I'm not trying to guilt you to do stuff. What I'm saying is your role, your gifting, it's vital. It changes things. It's necessary. They need it. So when he exposes it to you and you don't do something, the next time he says something, it's a little harder to hear him. And let's say you don't do it again and you keep not doing it. Pretty soon, truth is an idea. Truth is a principle. Truth is, what else was on that list? Governing laws of the world you live in. Yeah. He's no longer a person to you. You don't get to hear him in love anymore. And the grace you need to carry out your assignment is hard to find. So I was like, I need to say something because I hadn't in a while. So I did. And then, bam, everything was crystal clear again. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot what it's like to know what's going on in my life. This is awesome. You guys being faithful with the gift allows you to stay in tune with the spirit of truth. You're not a slave. You have a choice. You don't have to. The consequence to apathy, passivity, negligence is delusion, deception. You don't get to know what's real anymore. That sucks. For you and everyone you're not able to help after that. Okay? So I would like you to talk to those people because I'd like you to be in tune with the spirit of truth. I'd like you to be able to hear Jesus. Are you going to hear him perfectly? Is going to be all this whatever? No, I mean, who knows how that's going to work, but it will calibrate you to actually catch what he might be saying to you, as opposed to letting that static just run amok because you won't confront, because you won't address, because you won't bring it in, okay? Does this make sense, what I'm saying? Okay. Repeat what I said about passivity and delusion. Passivity and delusion leads to, I think I said passivity and negligence leads to delusion, deception, not living in reality anymore. Okay, so I'm going to stop. Q&A. Oh my gosh. Okay, this guy had his hand up first. Garrett, will you head over there and I'll take the water. Thank you so much. This guy right here in the glasses. Can you stand up when you're asking a question?
Yeah, definitely. So,
Pause. I'm going to throw some rules down real quick, you guys. If you're going to ask a question in this context right now, I want it to be relevant to everyone in the room. I don't want you to get super explicit about your own unique situation that's only having to do with you and this person or whatever. It's not helpful for everyone. Shoot me an email, come chat with me, whatever. If it's going to be right now, I want it to be something that can actually benefit everybody, okay? So use your judgment on that. Go.
Okay, so what happens if the person you have discernment for is already going through something really tough and the discernment might actually break them even more?
What do you mean by discernment?
Like with my roommate, like what you said, like talking to the person about what you're feeling or what you're seeing in them. What happens if what they're going through is actually like worse right now, and if you discern or you tell them what you're seeing, that actually can make them more broken than help them?
I think if I accuse them, it'll make them more broken than help them. If I condemn them or if I punish them, they'll be worse off than if I said nothing.
Okay.
If I tell them the truth in love, they might not get out of it, but they know I'm in their corner.
Okay.
They
Awesome.
feel encouraged and supported and believed in, that I see what's going on, you know? So I would say it's more what's your intent and then also how you deliver it. Bro, you're messing up your own life. Hope you know that. Probably not helpful, right? But, hey, man, is everything all right? Yeah, but whatever. Okay, well, I just want you to know, like, I'm here for you. Like, I think that thing sucks too, and if you need anything from me, I'm happy to help, but I know that the end of this is coming. I'm praying for you, whatever. Right? If that's coming from a place of love and compassion, even if he doesn't like it, even if he reacts negatively, that doesn't mean that what you did was wrong or bad. He could actually be being ministered to by the Holy Spirit because of what you released. Honestly, that's real. Okay, yes. Stand up, please.
I guess the thing I'm grappling with is we both discern in different ways, my wife and I. And I feel like I need to give someone a chance. Like, I'm not afraid of getting it wrong, and I really don't mind if I hurt their feelings. It's more that I more want to think the best of them, if that makes sense. I want to see the best in them. And I want them, like, before I say something, to prove me wrong, if that makes sense. So I want to give them a chance to demonstrate what I'm discerning.
Yep.
And I feel like if I just come out and say it, you know, I may be right. There's a chance I'll be wrong. But I also haven't given them a chance to give me proof of what I'm saying, if that makes sense.
Okay. Let me make a little distinction. Thank you. That question is helpful. The couple examples I gave you of you're not shy and you're a jerk or whatever I said, those were supposed to display certain principles of what I'm talking about. I'm not expecting you to do that right now. I had years, literally years of practice to where I got to the point where I knew what was going on and I knew how to say what they needed to hear in a way that wasn't like obvious, but still true and effective, right? So if I'm not super clear on what's going on, but I know something's off because I can just feel something's wrong, I will ask a lot of questions. Hey, when you said this, what did you mean? And I'm just going to get us around the thing and then just like poke and follow my curiosity. If my intent for them is compassion and love and I want them to be free, I can trust my curiosity. It will lead me where it's supposed to go. My intuition will guide me to where the source of this thing is, good or bad, it doesn't matter, okay? And so I will ask questions. I will draw out whatever's inside of them into the light because when it comes out, the power it had over them will die. It'll be separate from them and we can talk about this. And then we can actually move forward, okay? It won't let go of influence in their life if it's still harbored in darkness. When it's pulled out and they actually confess it with their mouth, something changes. Does that make sense? So I don't necessarily say, hey, this is happening in your life, just so you know. Like, I don't think I ever do, I rarely do that. But I will ask a lot of questions to give them an opportunity or an invitation to expose the thing if they'd like. And if they don't, I might move on. Yes. Give me the mic. Horror stories? Okay. Honestly, I don't have a ton of those, but I can think about it. Yeah, right. I mean, later. Yeah. Okay. Can we write that down somewhere? Horror stories? Oh, God. All right, next. Yes.
Okay. You mentioned you said what I'm aware of and what I'm responsible for are not the same thing. And I just had a clarifying question on that because you explained that, but then it did sound like we do need to steward that. Like when we're given these words of discernment, we have to steward that. So can you explain a little bit more how they are different? Because I was confused.
Yeah. So stewarding it is, what is the Lord asking you to do? Stewarding isn't, I'm going to go say something every time. That's robotic. Stewarding what you're aware of is, Holy Spirit, what am I doing with this? And it's not just Holy Spirit, because you guys, sometimes, even at BSSM, we can actually estrange ourselves from cooperating with Holy Spirit by turning our interactions with him into English conversations. It's not how that works. Sometimes we talk to him in English. Often, it's deeper than that. Groanings which can't be uttered, that's fine. It's exchanges of meaning, okay? And so often I'm communing with the Lord. It doesn't sound like prayer to anybody. If you guys watch my life, you're like, man, this guy doesn't pray very much. That's not true. I am constantly in communion with the Lord. We have developed this beautiful partnership. I will follow the thing that I've learned how to trust in me, and stuff happens or whatever. Again, that came from years of practice and all of that. So part of my goal in this class is to help you guys start implementing some practices in your own life that will lead you toward a place of becoming skilled in navigating these dynamics. You probably aren't going to get that figured out before this class is over. I'm not expecting that from any of you because it took me 12 years or something to really figure this out. So if you get it at the end of this class, I'm going to be really upset. But in that place of I'm aware of this, and because when you're aware of something, you have emotion as well. Why am I afraid? Why am I embarrassed? Or whatever, right? And I process with the Lord, what am I doing with this? Why is this affecting me as well? And in that place of conversing with him, or even with a trusted friend, my intention will come out. It'll reveal itself to me. I'm like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. And you'll know. The moment it reveals itself, you will know. So once you get your marching orders, execute. I have to say something. Oh, my God. And then you'll find the words because you understand you need to do this. Oh, I'm supposed to just pray for them. Oh, I'm not supposed to say something. Oh, I should actually bring this to the dynamic or whatever. The Lord will speak to you from that place. So the discernment is going to bring you that connection with the Lord to release what he's doing. For me, that might be unique to me, or maybe you'll find that you get there too. I often am addressing the thing in relationship. If I don't know them, sometimes I'll drop a bone. Sometimes I don't even touch it. If I was addressing every single thing, I wouldn't be able to live my life. So it's not all of it. But sometimes the Lord does ask me to address things that have nothing to do with me, with people I don't even know. Those are exciting. They're exciting. Because I don't know what's going to happen. But horror stories are very uncommon for me. Just because I've learned how to cooperate with him. I'm not an expert. I'm not amazing. The Lord is amazing. And so as I've learned to actually trust him, he makes me look like a genius. I just follow that. You know what I mean? So stewarding it is actually based on what the Lord is asking of you. Does that answer your question? Okay. Cool. Yes.
Can you give me some insight on how to manage my internal world when I don't have an open door to share my discernment with the person walking through something? And I'm thinking of scenarios where
Do you mean a discernment or offense?
Discernment.
Okay.
So there's a few relationships where I will, when I'm around them, I just feel incredible tension, literally in my chest, and then my brain is overloaded, and the moment I walk out their door, 5 minutes later, it's gone.
You don't know why that is?
Well,
do you have an idea of why?
I've got ideas of why, but actually, I don't know. This is opening up my eyes to see maybe I do. Anyways, but I wouldn't. The current level of relationship doesn't allow me to actually say anything to them.
Okay, I will tell you this, and this is for everyone. I should have said this from the beginning, so this is my fault. Sorry. When people agree with evil spirits, for whatever reason, there's always a reason. For the record, there's always a reason they're doing that. I'm looking for why. What do they need? Why are they pulling on this thing? Someone who's an orphan and gets all defensive and crazy and accusatory whenever there's something that potentially might have been wrong that they did. I'm like, why do they have to lash out like that? Why are they freaking out right now? And I'm looking for, God, what do they need? And it's not, you need to point out that this is wrong in their life, right? He's like, tell them I'm never leaving them. Okay, God loves you. No. Tell them I'm never leaving them. Hey, I just want to let you know, like, I felt the Lord tell me, like, he's never leaving you. I don't know why, right? It's because I came up with a spell. I found the right incantation. No. The Lord is already doing stuff in their life. He knows what they need to break up with the crazy and actually hear him. So when you give them the peace, they know it's God because it's the very thing they needed, okay? So whatever you're aware of, if I don't know what to do, I'm asking what do they need? And then if it's my place to fill that need or to contribute to it, then I will follow through with whatever is my responsibility in that. Not obligation. What's my role, right? So asking what my role is in this relationship, in this scenario, in this environment, whatever, is a huge factor in the triangulation of figuring out how you're meant to respond. What's my role? What's my role? What do they need? Okay? Those questions will open up a lot of insight and revelation for you that will actually give you the tools you need to move forward with whatever the thing is. Does that answer your question? Excellent. Okay, one more question. Okay, right here. Oh, you have one? Right here. Last one.
So you were saying about the gift of discernment can be confused with prophetic words. And
Let's talk about that again.
I was thinking, sometimes when I give prophetic words, I'm like, oh, is that a word of knowledge or is this discernment? Can you talk a little bit into that?
What's a word of knowledge? What's a prophetic word? And what's discernment? Is that your question?
It has much to do with the words of knowledge.
What's a word of knowledge as opposed to discernment?
Yeah.
Okay. For me, this is my experience. This is my opinion. I'm not an expert on this. I'll tell you just from what I've experienced. A word of knowledge, I have no relationship with that information. It doesn't feel like anything to me. When I'm discerning stuff, I can feel substance on it, emotion. There's attachments. I can feel the nature of the connection in it. When I have a word of knowledge, it feels like an alien could have just told me that. A spaceship fell down and I found this weird green thing and it means something to somebody. Cool, right? And discernment is, oh my gosh, I know these people, I know their history, and when that person did that thing, it made all of them feel this way. The drama. So for me, I can taste the flavor of the connection in discernment, in that knowledge and judgment. For the word of knowledge, it's so random and out of nowhere for me. And that helps me distinguish, that's a word of knowledge. I have no attachment to that thing. Oh, look at that. It worked. It's cool, right? So for me, it's how it feels. Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? All right, cool. I'm going to pray for you guys, and then we're going to go do our homework. Right? Holy Spirit. Oh, God, thank you for your goodness. Thank you for your faithfulness, that you are so near to us and so true to who you are. God, thank you that you give us the power to trust. You make it safe and worth it. Yeah, God, thank you for telling us what's true and showing us the way. I ask that you would reveal their path to them this week. God, that you would show them what you're asking of them. That you would restore assignment. That you would reconnect their heart and their passion to what you've asked of them, and that there would be reconciliation there, and that freedom would ensue. That the captives would be set free. Yeah, God, thank you for releasing truth and love and showing us the way to partner with you. That you would open the doors. Yeah, I command there to be a way where there was no way. In Jesus' name.